Hello everyone. Welcome back. I'm Natasha, your host for today. If you're new here, I want to let you know we share new English learning videos every single day to help you improve your English faster and more naturally. In today's masterclass, you're going to take a big step towards speaking English like a native. We'll focus on advanced fluency skills that will help you sound confident, natural, and expressive. You'll not only sharpen your listening skills, but also strengthen your speaking rhythm, your word choice, and your natural tone. Throughout this session, I'll guide you through real-life speaking examples, advanced pronunciation tips, and shadowing exercises. You can repeat with me. You'll hear how native speakers form sentences, link their words, and add subtle expressions that make their speech sound effortless. By the end of today's lesson, you'll have the tools, the practice, and the confidence you need to take your English from good to fluent and natural. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future lessons designed to bring you closer to native level English. So, take a deep breath, relax, and let's dive in together. Speaking English like a native is not about using complicated vocabulary or memorizing hundreds of grammar rules. It's about creating a natural flow, choosing the right expressions for the moment, and letting your words connect with your thoughts effortlessly. And that is exactly what we are going to work on together today. I want you to imagine that we are sitting together, just like two friends having a conversation. I'll speak slowly at times, then more naturally, so you can hear the difference. And at every step, I will give you a chance to repeat after me. This is how your brain starts to think in English, without stopping to translate. Let's begin with one of the most important parts of native-sounding English, rhythm and intonation. When you listen to native speakers, you might notice their speech rises and falls like music. They don't pronounce every word with the same strength. Some words are stressed, others are softer. Try this with me. I'll say a simple sentence. I didn't say you stole the money. Now watch how the meaning changes when I stress different words. I didn't say you stole the money. I didn't say you stole the money. I didn't say you stole the money. Each time, the focus shifts. Your turn. Repeat after me slowly. Feel the way your voice changes. Now, let's put this into a daily life example. Imagine you're talking to a colleague about a meeting. You could say, I thought the meeting was at 3, but a native speaker might make it sound like this. I thought the meeting was at 3. Do you hear the soft connection between meeting and was? Try it with me. First slowly, then naturally. A big part of sounding like a native speaker is linking words together so your speech flows. In English, when one word ends with a consonant and the next begins with a vowel, native speakers often connect them. For example, turn off becomes turn off. Pick it up becomes pick it up. Try saying these naturally. Turn off the lights. Pick it up from the table. Now, repeat them again. But this time, imagine you're talking to a close friend. Relax your mouth and let the sounds blend. Let's practice this in a little dialogue. I'll play both parts. First, Timmy, can you pick it up after work? Then you repeat, Now me again. Sure. I'll turn off the lights before I leave. And you repeat. This is how you get used to real conversational speed. Another key element is using fillers naturally. Native speakers often use small words or sounds to keep the conversation flowing. Words like well, you know, actually, I mean, can make you sound more relaxed. Let's practice. Say, well, I think we should wait a little longer. You know, it might be better to start tomorrow. Actually, I've changed my mind. Try them with me. Slowly first, then with more natural speed. Now, I want to give you a small shadowing exercise. I will speak a short everyday paragraph, and you will repeat it exactly, matching my tone and speed. Ready? Here we go. Well, I was thinking we could grab a coffee before the meeting. You know, just to relax a bit. Actually, there's a nice cafe right around the corner. Now you. This kind of practice teaches your brain not just the words, but also the music of English. Let's move into pronunciation. Many learners struggle with the th sound. In words like think or this, the tongue comes gently between the teeth. For think, it's soft. For this, it's voiced. Let's try think this. Now, in sentences, I think this is a good idea. This is what I think about the plan. Say them with me slowly. Then, naturally, in native conversation, pronunciation is also about reductions. Words like going to often become gonna. Want to becomes wanna. Try these. I'm gonna call you later. Do you want to go for lunch? You don't have to use reductions all the time, but learning them will help you understand and sound more natural. Now, picture this situation. You meet a friend on the street. Here's how a textbook English learner might speak. Hello, how are you? I am fine, thank you. And you? But here's how it might sound from a native speaker. Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. How about you? Notice it's shorter, warmer, and the tone is friendly. Let's practice. I'll say it. Then you. Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. How about you? I want you to feel that in English, the tone can be just as important as the words. The same sentence can sound friendly, bored, excited, or annoyed, depending on how you say it. Let's try. Say, that's great. First with excitement, now with boredom, and now with sarcasm. You see how much the tone changes the meaning? This is how native speakers communicate emotion without changing the words. We'll also practice pausing naturally. Native speakers don't rush through sentences. They pause in natural places. For example, when I got home, I saw the lights were still on. So I went inside and found my phone on the table. Try it. Don't rush. Let the pauses help your listener follow your story. One thing native speakers do without even thinking is adjusting their speech depending on who they're talking to. This is called register. For example, the way you talk to your boss is not the same as how you talk to your best friend. Let's look at a simple example. Formal. Good morning, Mr. Smith. I wanted to discuss the report you sent yesterday. Informal. Hey, did you get a chance to look over that report? Same purpose, but different style. Now, your turn. Say the formal sentence slowly, and now, say the informal version more casually, letting your tone relax. This kind of switching is a big part of sounding natural. Here's another daily life example. Imagine you are at a restaurant. If you want to sound polite but friendly, you could say, "Could I please have the grilled chicken with a side salad?" In a very casual situation, with a friend at a food truck, you might say, "Yeah, I'll grab the chicken and a salad on the side." Notice how one is softer and more formal, while the other is quicker and lighter. Try both with me. Now, let's talk about conversation openers. Native speakers often start conversations with light, simple phrases that feel easy to answer. Instead of just "hi," they might say, "Hey, what's up? How's your day going so far? Busy morning." Let's practice. First, I'll say them slowly so you can repeat, then we'll try them at natural speed. When you practice these, don't just focus on the words, focus on the energy behind them. "Hey, what's up?" should sound friendly and curious. "Busy morning?" should sound light and conversational. The mood is just as important as the words. Now, let's work on a shadowing dialogue. I'll speak as two people in a casual coffee shop setting. Person A: "Hey, what's up? Haven't seen you in ages." Person B: "Yeah, it's been forever. I've been swamped with work." Person A: "Tell me about it. I feel like I live at the office these days." Now, your turn. Repeat both parts with me. Try to copy my rhythm, the pauses, and the way the words link. Speaking like a native also means using contractions naturally. Native speakers almost always use contractions in everyday speech. Instead of "I am going," they say "I'm going." Instead of "they are not ready," they say "they aren't ready," or "they're not ready." Let's practice. "I'm going to the store. They aren't ready yet. She's been working all day." Say them slowly, then at a natural speed. Here's a little practice game. I'll give you the formal, textbook version, and you'll repeat it in the contracted, natural version. I say, "I am not feeling well today." You say, "I'm not feeling well today." I say, "They have been working hard." You say, "They've been working hard." I say, "We are going to see a movie tonight." You say, "We're going to see a movie tonight." This simple switch makes your English sound smoother. Let's now focus on reaction words. In real life, native speakers react to what others say with quick, short responses. Words like "Really?" "Exactly." "Right." "No way." "Sure." "I know." "Uh-huh." They keep the conversation alive and show you're engaged. Practice with me. I'll say a sentence and you react naturally. I say, "I just got back from Italy." You say, "Really?" I say, "The traffic was awful this morning." You say, "I know." I say, "The food there is amazing." You say, "Exactly." These are the little building blocks of native conversation. Now, let's bring it together in a storytelling exercise. I'll tell you a short story, and you'll repeat it after me, focusing on rhythm, linking, and natural tone. Ready? Here's the story. Yesterday, I woke up earlier than usual, made myself a cup of coffee, and went for a walk in the park. The air was fresh, and the streets were quiet. I ran into an old friend, and we ended up talking for almost an hour. Now your turn. Try to match my voice. my pace, and my natural pauses. Storytelling is one of the best ways to improve your fluency because it forces you to connect sentences and keep your thoughts flowing. The more you practice telling short stories about your day, the more comfortable you'll feel in real conversations. Before we move on, here's a quick daily life fluency drill for you. Take any moment from your day. It could be what you had for breakfast, the way to work, or something funny you saw, and try to describe it in English for 1 full minute. Don't stop. Don't go back to translate. Just keep going, even if you have to use simple words. This is how your brain starts thinking directly in English. Another skill that will make you sound like a native English speaker is paraphrasing. This means saying the same idea in different words. Native speakers do this all the time, especially when they want to clarify something, avoid repetition, or keep the conversation interesting. Let's try an example. You might say, "It's very cold outside." You could also say, "It's freezing out there," or "It's chilly today," or "The weather's really cold right now." All of these mean the same thing, but each has a slightly different tone. Here's a daily life situation. Imagine someone as life. You. How was the movie? You could say, "It was good, but that's short and doesn't give much detail." Instead, you could say, "It was really funny. I laughed the whole time." Or, "The story was great and the acting was amazing." Now you try. Take a simple sentence and expand it into 2 or 3 natural variations. This is exactly what will make your conversations richer and more engaging. Let's do a little paraphrasing exercise. I'll give you a basic sentence, and you'll repeat it in a different way. I say, "I'm tired." You might say, "I'm exhausted," or "I could use some rest." I say, "She's smart." You might say, "She's really clever," or "She's quick to understand things." I say, "It's hot today." You might say, "It's boiling outside," or "The weather's really warm." The more ways you can express the same thought, the more natural you will sound. Another important element is intonation when asking questions. In English, our voice usually rises at the end of a yes or no question. For example, "Are you coming?" "Do you like it?" But for information questions, those starting with who, what, when, where, why, how, the tone often falls at the end. "Where are you going?" "What time is it?" Try this with me. First, yes or no questions with a rising tone. Now, we questions with a falling tone. Feel the difference. Let's practice in conversation. I'll be person A, and you'll be person B. Person A, "Do you live nearby?" You answer, "Yes, just a few minutes away." Person A, "Where do you usually go shopping?" You answer, "I usually go to the market down the street." This will help you train your ear and your voice for natural question patterns. Now, let's talk about natural connectors. These are words and phrases that link your ideas smoothly. Words like "so," "because," "anyway," "by the way," "actually," "you know what," "in fact." Without them, your sentences sound disconnected. Let's try. Say, "I didn't go out because it was raining. I was tired, so I went to bed early. By the way, have you seen my phone?" Repeat each one with me, slowly, then naturally. Native speakers also often use softeners to make their speech sound more polite. Instead of saying, "Give me the book," they might say, "Could you give me the book?" Or, "Would you mind passing me the book? Try these with me. Could you open the window, please? Would you mind turning down the volume?" Notice how these sound warmer and more respectful. Let's add a shadowing dialogue for polite requests. Person A, "Would you mind helping me carry this box?" Person B, "Sure, no problem." Person A, "Could you send me that file later?" Person B, "Of course, I'll do it right after lunch." Now, repeat both roles with me. One advanced fluency habit to master is story framing. This means preparing your listener for what you're about to say. Native speakers often start with a little introduction before they tell the main story. For example, "You won't believe what happened to me yesterday," or "Something really funny happened at work today." These openers make the listener curious. Let's practice. I say, "You're not going to believe this," and then add a short story. You try. Here's your daily storytelling challenge. I'll give you a starting sentence, and you finish it in your own words. "This morning, I was on my way to work when I went to the supermarket. And guess what? Yesterday, I met someone who..." Practice finishing these with different details each time. This will make your English more dynamic and creative. Finally, for this section, I want to focus on shadowing for speed control. Many learners think speaking faster means speaking better, but speed without clarity is not fluency. Native speakers often vary their speed. They might slow down to emphasize something important, then speed up a bit for background details. Let's practice. I'll say, "The thing is, I wasn't ready for the meeting, so I just smiled and hoped for the best." First, repeat slowly, then repeat at a more natural pace. Notice how the meaning feels clearer when you control your speed. Another thing that separates native speakers from learners is the way they use emphasis to highlight important words in a sentence. This is not just about speaking louder, it's about stretching the word slightly, giving it more weight, or letting your tone rise or fall. Let's take an example. "I really like this coffee." Here, "really" is the emphasis. Now try. "I really like this coffee." Compare it with, "I really like this coffee." Now, coffee is the focus. See how the message feels different? Practice changing which word you emphasize and notice how it changes the meaning. Let's put emphasis into a daily conversation example. Imagine someone asks, "Do you like living in the city?" If you want to show strong agreement, you might say, "I absolutely love it." If you want to be softer, you could say, "Yeah, I like it." Now you try both. And listen to the difference in feeling. Another skill to develop is speaking with natural pauses instead of and Native speakers pause to think, and it makes them sound more confident. For example, "Well, I think we could go to the park later, or maybe try that new cafe." The pause gives you time to think and helps your listener process your words. Let's try. Say, "So, I was thinking, maybe we could start earlier tomorrow." Practice pausing just before the important part. Now let's move into idiomatic expressions. Native speakers use these to make their speech colorful and relatable. For example, "It's raining cats and dogs" means it's raining heavily. "Break the ice" means to make people feel comfortable in a social situation. Hit the nail on the head means to describe something exactly right. Try saying each one with me. Then, try to make your own short sentence using each. It was raining cats and dogs when I left the office. He told a joke to break the ice at the meeting. You really hit the nail on the head with that comment. Let's practice idioms in a mini dialogue. Person A: I was so nervous at the party, but then someone told a funny story and it really broke the ice. Person B: yeah, I know what you mean. I was nervous too. Person A: and when you said we should try the new restaurant, you really hit the nail on the head. The food was amazing. Repeat both parts with me. Now, let's focus on transition phrases for storytelling. Native speakers use little signposts to guide their listener through a story. Phrases like, first of all, the next thing I knew, before I knew it, in the end, let's try. First of all, I missed my bus. The next thing I knew, I was running down the street. Before I knew it, it was lunchtime. In the end, everything worked out fine. Repeat slowly, then at natural speed. Here's a practice exercise for you. I'll start a story with these transitions, and you finish it in your own way. First of all, I woke up late. The next thing I knew, my phone was ringing. Before I knew it, I was rushing out the door. In the end, I still made it on time. Try to add your own details to make it more personal. Another way to sound like a native speaker is using small talk naturally. In many cultures, people jump straight into the main topic. But in English-speaking countries, small talk is often used to create a friendly atmosphere before discussing serious matters. For example, how's your day been so far? Did you catch the game last night? The weather's been so nice lately. Try starting with one of these. Before moving into your main point, let's role play. I'll be person A, and you be person B. Person A: hey, how's your day going so far? You answer, not bad, just a bit busy. Person A: yeah, same here. Have you had lunch yet? You answer, not yet. I might grab something soon. These light exchanges make the conversation flow more naturally. Now, let's work on reducing overthinking when speaking. Many learners pause for too long because they are trying to find the perfect word. Native speakers often use simpler words, us in the moment, and keep talking. For example, if you can't remember magnificent, you can just say really great and keep going. Let's practice. I'll give you a difficult word and you'll replace it with a simpler one. I say, he's very punctual. You say, he's always on time. I say, the presentation was exceptional. You say, the presentation was really good. This keeps your speech natural and fluid. Here's your fluency challenge for today. Talk for 1 minute about your favorite food without stopping. Use simple words. If you forget the exact one, the goal is flow, not perfection. Another important habit that makes your English sound native-like is using context to choose the right phrases. Many learners try to memorize long lists of expressions, but the real skill is knowing when to use them. For example, how have you been? Works perfectly when you meet someone you haven't seen in a while, but when you meet a colleague you see every day. How's your morning going? Feels more natural. Let's try a short practice. I'll give you a situation, and you say the phrase that fits best. Situation 1. You haven't seen a friend for 3 months. You say, "Hey, how have you been?" Situation 2. You meet a coworker in the hallway. You say, "Hey, how's your morning going?" Situation 3. You meet your neighbor while walking outside on a rainy day. You say, "Wow, this weather is something, isn't it?" These are small adjustments, but they make a big difference in how natural you sound. Now, let's focus on using descriptive language to add color to your speech. Native speakers often give small details to make their ideas more vivid. Instead of saying, "I went to the park," you could say, "I went to the park early in the morning when the air was cool and fresh." Let's practice. I say, "I had lunch today." You make it richer. "I had a light lunch at a small cafe near my office, just a sandwich and tea." I say, "I saw a movie last night." You say, "I saw a really exciting action movie last night." Another area to focus on is mirroring and active listening. When native speakers have a conversation, they often repeat key words from the other person's sentence to show they are paying attention. For example, A says, "I went to the mountains last weekend," and B replies, "Oh, the mountains, that sounds amazing." This is called mirroring, and it helps you sound more engaged. Let's practice. I say, "I just started a new hobby." You respond, "A new hobby? That's interesting. What is it?" I say, "I've been learning guitar." You respond, "Guitar? That's cool. How's it going so far?" Let's also practice short, natural reactions that fit in the middle of someone's story. These can be things like, "Wow, that's amazing. Really? No way. I know. Exactly. Right, I'll tell you a short story, and I want you to react naturally at the right moment. Yesterday, I found $20 on the street." You say, "Wow, but then I realized it was mine. I had dropped it earlier." You say, "Oh, I see." This shows how you can respond quickly and keep the flow alive. Before we move forward, let's do a shadowing exercise that combines rhythm, intonation, linking, and natural reaction words. Here's the paragraph. "Well, I was just walking to the store when I ran into an old friend. We hadn't seen each other in years, so we decided to grab a coffee and catch up. Honestly, it felt like no time had passed at all." Now, repeat it with me slowly. Now again, at a natural speed. Feel the smooth connections between the words and the friendly tone. Finally, for this section, let's add a mini fluency challenge. I want you to pick a moment from the last week and tell me about it as if you were telling it to a friend. Don't think too much. Use some small talk at the beginning, add details, and keep the tone natural. If you get stuck, replace the missing word with a simpler one and keep going. Another native-sounding habit is adding emotion through short exclamations. Words like, "Wow," "Oh no," "Yay," "Uh-oh," "Phew," can add life to your speech. They're small, but they make your English sound warmer and more human. Let's practice. "Wow, that's amazing." "Oh no, I forgot my wallet." "Phew, I made it just in time." Repeat them with real feeling. Next, we'll work on rephrasing for clarity. In real conversations, native speakers often repeat their point in a slightly different way to make sure it's understood. For example, so just to be clear, you're saying we should meet at 10, right? Or, in other words, you think we should wait until next week. Let's try. I say, we need to leave early tomorrow. You say, so, we should be ready earlier than usual. I say, he doesn't like spicy food. You say, in other words, he prefers mild dishes. This makes your communication smoother. Now, let's do a combined fluency drill using everything we've covered so far: linking, contractions, intonation, reaction words, and collocations. Here's the paragraph. Well, I came across this little bakery yesterday, and honestly, it had the best bread I've ever tasted. Phew, I almost missed it because I was in a rush, but I'm so glad I didn't. In the end, I even made a new friend while I was there. Repeat it with me slowly. Now again, with a natural, friendly tone. We should also talk about using story hooks to capture attention. In English, native speakers often start with something that makes people want to hear more. For example, you'll never guess what happened today. Something really strange happened to me this morning. I just heard the funniest thing. These hooks make people curious. Try saying each one with a playful or excited tone. Here's your hook practice challenge. I'll give you the start, and you finish it with your own story idea. You won't believe who I saw yesterday. Nothing unexpected happened at work today. I just had the most amazing meal. Practicing this will help you become a more engaging storyteller. Finally, for this section, I want you to try timed speaking practice. Set a timer for 1 minute and talk about any small moment from your day. Use at least one phrasal verb, one collocation, and a natural reaction word. This will force you to combine multiple skills while keeping your speech flowing. Another advanced fluency skill that native speakers use without thinking is changing sentence structure for variety. If you always use the same structure, subject, verb, object, your speech can sound flat. But by moving parts of the sentence or using different patterns, you can add rhythm and style. For example, I couldn't believe what I saw can also be said as what I saw, I couldn't believe. Or instead of I was so tired after work, you could say after work, I was so tired I could barely move. Let's practice. I'll give you a simple sentence and you'll change the structure. I say, I will never forget that day. You could say, that day I will never forget. I say, she sings beautifully. You could say, beautifully, she sings every morning. This skill helps your speech sound more natural and expressive. Now let's talk about using contrast for emphasis. Native speakers often highlight an idea by showing an opposite thought right before or after it. For example, it was raining all morning, but the afternoon was sunny and warm. I thought the movie would be boring, yet it was surprisingly good. Try these with me. I didn't think I'd enjoy the trip, but it was incredible. The task seemed easy, but it turned out to be tricky. Contrasts make your speech more interesting and dynamic. Let's bring this into a daily life conversation example. Person A, I heard the restaurant is expensive. Person B, yeah, it's pricey, but the food is worth every penny. Person A, really? I thought it would be too fancy for me. Person B, not at all, it's actually very welcoming. Repeat both roles, paying attention to the contrast words, but actually, not at all. Another habit that gives you a native sound is playing with sentence length. Native speakers often mix short, punchy sentences with longer, flowing ones. This keeps the listener's attention. For example, the food was delicious. We stayed for hours, just talking and laughing until the cafe closed. Short sentences create impact. Longer ones add detail. Let's try. Short. That's amazing. Long. It was one of those moments you never forget, when everything feels perfect and time just stops. Now we'll work on using tag questions, another common feature in native English. These are short questions added to the end of a statement to invite agreement. For example, it's a nice day, isn't it? You're coming tonight, aren't you? Try these with me. She's from Canada, isn't she? We should leave soon, shouldn't we? Tag questions help you sound more conversational and friendly. Here's a mini tag question dialogue. Person A, you like coffee, don't you? Person B, yeah, I love it. You drink it every morning too, right? Person A, of course, I can't start my day without it. Now repeat both roles, making your voice rise slightly at the end of the tag question. Another important element is using emphasis words like so, really, absolutely, totally for natural intensification. For example, that movie was so good. I'm really happy for you. She's absolutely amazing at her job. Repeat after me, focusing on how these words stretch the emotion. Now try making your own sentences with each. We'll now practice a natural conversation blend. This is when you combine small talk, storytelling, and reaction words smoothly. I'll do both parts first. Person A, hey, how's it going? Person B, pretty good, just finished a project at work. Person A, nice, was it a big one? Person B, yeah, it took weeks, but I am so relieved it's done. Now repeat both roles, keeping your tone friendly and relaxed. Let's also work on avoiding overpronunciation. Many learners pronounce every word fully, which can sound unnatural in casual speech. Native speakers often reduce sounds. For example, I'm going to becomes I'm gonna, want to becomes wanna. Did you becomes didya. Try these. I'm gonna grab some lunch. Do you want to join? Did you see the game last night? Say them slowly first, then naturally. Now here's a shadowing paragraph with reductions and linking. I'm gonna head out a bit early today 'cause I've got some errands to run. Want to come with me? We could grab a coffee on the way. Repeat slowly, then again at full conversational speed. Feel how the sounds connect. Finally, for this section, let's set a practical speaking task. For the rest of today, I want you to notice and copy the rhythm and linking you hear in any English you listen to, whether it's from a podcast, a movie, or a conversation. Try to repeat it in real time, even if you don't catch every single word. This will push you toward native-like fluency faster than you think. One of the most powerful tools for sounding like a native speaker is using storytelling layers. Instead of just telling what happened, native speakers often add background information, feelings, and side comments. For example, a basic version might be, I missed the bus this morning, but a layered, native-sounding version could be, I missed the bus this morning, which, by the way, almost never happens, and I had to walk in the rain to the next stop. Honestly, I was half laughing and half annoyed the whole time. Notice how this version feels more alive and personal. Let's practice by taking a short sentence and adding layers. Say, I had lunch with a friend. You could say, I had lunch with a friend today, someone I hadn't seen in months, and we ended up talking so much, we almost forgot to eat. Another advanced fluency habit is using callbacks in conversation. This means referring back to something you, or the other person, mentioned earlier. Native speakers do this to create connection and keep the conversation flowing. For example, if earlier someone said they love Italian food, later in the conversation you might say, by the way, speaking of Italian food, I found a new pasta place you'd love. Let's practice. I'll give you an earlier detail, and you bring it back later. Earlier detail. I started running again. Later in the conversation, you say, you know, about that running you mentioned earlier. I think there's a park you'd enjoy. We should also work on spontaneous rephrasing. When you lose a word, native speakers sometimes forget a word, but instead of stopping, they find another way to say it. For example, I forgot the name of the tool you use to fix a bike, the thing that tightens bolts. This keeps the conversation moving. Let's practice. I'll give you a missing word situation, and you rephrase it. I say, I need to buy a new, the thing you wear on your wrist to tell the time. You might say, I need to buy a new watch. This is exactly how you stay fluent, even when your memory fails. Now let's talk about using intensifiers and downtoners to adjust your message. Intensifiers like really, so, absolutely, totally, make your point stronger. Downtoners like kind of, a bit, slightly, pretty, soften your statement. Native speakers use these to show degrees of meaning. Let's practice. Intensified. I'm absolutely certain we'll win. Downtoned. I'm pretty sure we'll win. Intensified. The view was taut. Ally breathtaking. Downtoned. The view was kind of nice. We can also build your intonation variety. If your voice stays flat, you can sound less engaging. Even if your words are correct, native speakers move their pitch up and down to show excitement, surprise, or seriousness. Let's try. Say, really? With surprise. Now say it with doubt. Now with excitement. That single word changes completely. With tone. Here's a shadowing exercise. With emotional tone. I can't believe you remembered my birthday. That's so sweet of you. Now try it. As genuine excitement. Now as sarcastic. Now as relieved. This teaches you control over how your message is received. Another skill is smoothly changing topics. In casual English, native speakers rarely jump to a new topic. Without a link, they use phrases like, anyway, speaking of that reminds me, by the way, let's practice. I say, I went shopping yesterday. You say, speaking of shopping, have you seen the new store downtown? I say, I watched a great documentary last night. You say, by the way, did you hear about that new film festival? This keeps the conversation natural. Next, we'll do a 3-step fluency drill. combining everything we've covered so far. Step 1. I tell a short story. Step 2. You repeat it with the same tone, linking, and pace. Step 3. You add 1 or 2 extra details. Ready? My story. I met a friend for coffee yesterday, and we talked for hours. It felt like old times. Now your version with extra details could be, I met a friend for coffee yesterday at this little cafe near my office, and we talked for hours about everything. It felt like old times. Finally, for this section, let's set an advanced speaking challenge. For the next 3 days, I want you to pick one real-life conversation each day. It could be with a colleague, a friend, or even a shop assistant, and consciously use at least one phrasal verb, one natural reaction, and one intensifier, or downtoner. This intentional practice will make these habits automatic over time. Another key to sounding like a native speaker is using anticipation in your speech. This means setting up your listener for what's coming, just like native speakers often do. For example, you might say, "You're not going to believe what happened to me today," or, "I have something exciting to tell you." This builds curiosity and keeps your listener engaged. Let's practice, I say. "You'll never guess who I saw yesterday." You respond with a curious tone. "Who?" Now try. "I've been keeping a little secret, but I think it's time to share it." Native speakers also use story interruptions to make conversations more real. For example, "So I was walking to the store. Oh, wait, did I tell you about the store? Anyway, I was walking there when..." This shows natural thought flow and can make your stories sound authentic. Let's try. Take a basic story, add one small interruption, then return to the main point. We should also work on expressing uncertainty naturally instead of saying, "I don't know," every time. Native speakers vary their expressions. They might say, "I'm not sure," "It's hard to say," "I can't say for certain," "I'd have to check." Try them with me. Now put them into your own sentences. "I'm not sure if the meeting is at 2 or 3. It's hard to say whether the weather will clear up." Now, let's practice responding in supportive ways. In English, native speakers often encourage others while they talk, with short supportive sounds or words. Right. Yeah, exactly. I see what you mean. Try keeping a soft, encouraging tone so the speaker feels listened to. We'll also look at gentle corrections in conversation. If a friend says something slightly wrong, native speakers often correct without breaking the flow. For example, friend, "I go to there every weekend." You, "Oh, you go there every weekend? That's nice." This repeats the sentence correctly without making them feel embarrassed. Practice by rephrasing a slightly incorrect sentence into the correct one in a friendly tone. Another advanced skill is balancing personal stories with questions. Native speakers rarely speak for long without inviting the other person in. For example, "I had the best weekend. We went hiking in the mountains." Have you ever been hiking before? Let's try. You tell a short personal story. and then follow it with a related question. This balance makes conversations feel more natural and two-sided. Here's a final shadowing story that combines linking, emotion, rhythm, and natural connectors. Well, yesterday started off pretty normal. I had my coffee, checked my emails, and went for a quick walk. But then, out of nowhere, I bumped into an old school friend. We ended up talking for over an hour, catching up on everything, and honestly, it felt like no time had passed at all. Now repeat it slowly with me, then again, at a natural, flowing pace. Now picture yourself asking for directions in a new city. You stop someone on the street and say, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the museum?" Repeat, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the museum?" They reply, "Sure, go straight ahead for 2 blocks, then turn left." You answer, "Thank you very much, I really appreciate your help." Again, "Thank you very much, I really appreciate your help." Next, imagine you're in a taxi. The driver says, "Where would you like to go?" You reply, "Please take me to Central Station." Repeat, "Please take me to Central Station." The driver asks, "Do you want the fastest route or the cheapest?" You say, "The fastest route, please." Repeat, "The fastest route, please." Now let's practice at the doctor's office. You say, "Good morning. I have an appointment with Dr. Ahmed at 10 a.m. Repeat, "Good morning. I have an appointment with Dr. Ahmed at 10 a.m. The receptionist says, "Yes, please take a seat and the doctor will call you shortly." You respond, "Thank you very much." Again, "Thank you very much." When you meet the doctor, they ask, "What seems to be the problem?" You reply, "I've been having headaches for the past 3 days. Repeat, "I've been having headaches for the past 3 days. They ask, "Have you taken any medicine?" You answer, "Just some painkillers, but they haven't helped much." Repeat, "Just some painkillers, but they haven't helped much." Now imagine you're at a job interview. The interviewer says, "Tell me a little about yourself." You reply, "I'm a motivated and hardworking person, and I'm passionate about helping people learn new skills." Repeat, "I'm a motivated and hardworking person, and I'm passionate about helping people learn new skills." They ask, "Why do you want to work here?" You answer, "Becca, I admire your company's mission, and I believe my skills and experience match the role perfectly." Repeat, "Because I admire your company's mission, and I believe my skills and experience match the role perfectly." Finally, let's practice a friendly goodbye. You're leaving a friend's house and you say, "Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time." Repeat, "Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time." They reply, "I'm glad you came. Let's do this again soon." You answer, "Absolutely. See you soon." Repeat, "Absolutely. See you soon." Finally, let's close with a realistic speaking challenge that will help you maintain and grow your skills after today's lesson. Every day this week, I want you to take 10 minutes to do one of 3 things. 1. Describe your day so far out loud in as much detail as possible. 2. Retell a story you recently heard, adding your own expressions and emotions. 3. Shadow a piece of natural English audio, matching the speaker's tone, speed, and linking as closely as you can. If you make this a habit, you will notice your English becoming smoother, faster, and far more natural. And one day, you'll realize you're speaking without even thinking about the grammar. or searching for words. That's the moment you know you're not just speaking English, you're living it. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found this lesson helpful and you want to keep improving your English every single day, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new lesson. I love sharing these masterclasses with you, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep believing in yourself, because you really can sound like a native English speaker.